I built a small arcade machine for a Comic-Con. Let me tell you why and let me tell you how. Hey everybody, it's Chris from Family Geekery, and today I'm going to talk about this arcade machine that I built here. It's just a small little thing that I put together, and I put it together for a Comic-Con that we had this past weekend. If you have been listening to the podcast, you know about that. If you haven't been listening to the podcast, then go ahead and check out episode 1. You'll see what we're all about and might find something that you like to listen to. But basically, we had a booth at a Comic-Con locally here. Wanted to have something that kind of showcased the geeky kind of stuff that we were into. Of course, we had a couple drawings, some artwork from my daughter Danny, and had some other arts and crafts and stuff from both my daughters that helped me out with the podcast and with the YouTube channel. And wanted to have something kind of draw the crowd in and just be a good talking piece. So this is, like I said, a little arcade machine, fully functional. It's all built out of nice wood, solidly built, real arcade controls, a couple joysticks and buttons, and it's running a game called Space Race, which is a recreation that I did in Pico 8. And like I said, it's fully functional. It's a two-player game. People can come up to the booth and kind of play against their friends, and it's basically like Frogger in space. You got to get through space without getting hit by asteroids, and it was a real fun game that kids would challenge their parents, or parents would challenge their kids, brothers and sisters playing together, and just fun. First person to get 5 points would win, and it brought a lot of smiles to the people's faces at the booth, so that was pretty awesome. But let's talk a little bit about what it is and what's running it and how it works. So let's first talk about the cabinet itself. And like I said, this is half-inch MDF, so it's pretty sturdy. And the design itself, I just kind of came up with on a CAD program right on my iPad, and the CAD program is called Shaper 3D. I think it's the best CAD program that I've used. I'm not a CAD expert, and so when I say it's the best one I've used, I really mean it's something that I was able to understand and get some use out of, not being a CAD person. But I drew it all up in that program, and then just came up with the design, made sure all the pieces were going to fit, and then went ahead and cut it all out. It's a couple basic wood tools around here. I've been building arcades for years, so not much of a challenge for me, other than once they get smaller and smaller, it gets kind of harder to fit the pieces together because you're running out of room inside. But we made it work. The besides the wood, got a acrylic overlay here with a vinyl. Got some vinyl printed up at a basically like a banner shop, and that's this right here. The control panel top is all vinyl. This was vinyl, and then underneath this is just a flat panel monitor, and it's actually one of the monitors that comes out of one of those arcade one-up machines, those cheap arcade machines that you see at Best Buy and Walmart and stuff. And there's a huge community of people that take those arcade machines and build something really neat out of them. And sometimes they take the monitor out and put a new monitor in. So it's kind of easy to find these secondhand. Someone just rips them right out. And they're not super high quality monitors, but they're perfect for arcade machines because they're like a 4:3 aspect ratio. And they're perfect for this Pico 8, which is, 1:1 aspect ratio. So it looks really nice instead of having like a 16:9 monitor with a bunch of, black space on either side. But once you put the bezel up on here, it turns out working real great. And this can run basically any kind of emulator. But what I wanted to do, not only to showcase the fact that you can build your own arcade machine if you want to, is the fact that you can write your own arcade game if you want to. So talking with some of the people at the booth, they were pretty intrigued by the fact that I made this. And, it only took like an afternoon of programming to do it. Not super technical, especially because Space Race was an arcade game, not a very famous one, but it was an arcade game back in the early 80s. So coming up with ideas is usually the hardest part of making a game. Actually programming it out once you know what you're doing is not super hard. So if you've got any interest in this kind of stuff on the channel, I do have some tutorials on Pico 8, which is the program I use to make this game. And if you want to check those out, go ahead and do that. If you have any interest in building this game, then I'll be happy to do a tutorial series. Just let me know down in the comments below that that's something that you'd enjoy, and I'll start working on that. Now, this Pico 8 game can run on basically anything. It can run on a Raspberry Pi, it can run on PC, it can run on Mac, it can run on Linux, and that's all just a credit to Pico 8 and how awesome that program is. Right now, you can see I'm currently running it just on a little MacBook Air. That's because I wanted an easy way to be able to, if I needed to change any of the settings on the fly, I could just, type it up right there without having another keyboard or something. If I used a Raspberry Pi, I'd have to carry a keyboard with me and a mouse. So it's pretty easy. In fact, the game was originally supposed to be first person to 10, but the first group of people that came up and played the game at the booth had so much trouble, especially kids. All they want to do is push straight up and they just hit something right away. So it was taking them so long to get up to 10 points that me and my daughters decided, hey, let's just make it first to 5. So I was able to just go in there. I have just one variable set on what the win score is, change that real quick to 5, and we were up and running again for the next group. So that's why I've got it running on this little MacBook Air. It's just a little 11-inch one, so it's nice and easy and portable, and it runs both the joysticks and runs everything. The video comes right out, right onto the screen. So talking about the controls, like I said, I've got 2 arcade joysticks in here and a couple buttons, and the buttons aren't even needed for this game. I did set up these 2 buttons here that after a game was won, I could hit those 2 buttons and it would reset the game back to the start screen. This screen right here, just as kind of like what they call an attract screen to get someone's attention and say, oh look, hey, it's Family Geekery, and they wrote their own game. That's pretty cool. So running these controls, basically I've just got a couple what they call zero delay encoders or gamepad encoders underneath here, and they just run out to USB going right into the USB ports on the computer. And if you're interested in making that stuff work, I do have a video also. I'll link it up here, and it's how to build your own arcade controller. So basically I just took some cheap parts from Amazon and built my own joystick and buttons all enclosed in one controller. And just a cheap one, not a really nice one that you'd bring to a Street Fighter 6 competition, but just something that you could use at home and play some arcade games. And like I said, it's a pretty cheap and easy project, but it explains exactly how these controls work with one of those encoders. And besides the cabinet and the guts and the internals, obviously we needed power, and the Comic-Cons, they charged an arm and a leg for power, but instead I used just a portable battery pack to run the whole thing. And I'm going to do a separate video on that because I was so impressed with the portable battery pack and how well it worked and how efficient it was. It kept this thing running the entire time with no problem at all. I did a test run the night before, or a couple nights before, and ran this thing through the night, non-stop through the night to make sure that the battery was going to last long enough for an average length Comic-Con, and it did. So I'm real happy with that. So keep your eyes out. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to check that out, because it was on sale. It was a great deal, and the thing worked great. So if you've been wondering why I haven't put out a video in like a week, I think it's been a week since I put out a video. This is why. It took me a couple nights to put everything together. I cut the wood last weekend, got it all painted up, and then put it all together over the last week. So I've been busy with both this machine and just getting everything ready for the booth. The banners, the table stuff, all the displays, all the merch that we were handing out, that kind of stuff. So all the signage. The last week has just been absolutely killer for us here. Just busy getting ready for that Comic-Con. Now we got that under our belt. We're going to talk about it on our next podcast, which will come out this coming up Tuesday. So if you want to find out about what it was like having our first booth at our first Comic-Con, then go ahead and check out that podcast. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. Hope you liked it. Hope you got enjoyed the behind the scenes look at what we're doing here at Family Geekery. And if you want more information about this, then let me know, because I'll be happy to teach you guys how to build something like this for your house, for your bar, for your basement, for your man cave, whatever it is, and put some games on it. It'd be fun. So thank you as always for watching, and until next time, peace out and geek out. Oh.